Whoops. Sorry, guys. Hi guys, we're gonna start. So we're gonna spend a few minutes getting warmed up. I don't know how loud that is for you guys. We are going to start with pliés. I'm in a new space. I don't know how big the camera is going to be able to get me, but we'll work through it. Starting with pliés. Yeah, So feet kind of wide. Our hands will be up at the top, and then down at the bottom. So we'll just do a few of these. I'm gonna do them sideways, so I don't hit plants and stuff. And then we'll go into some side lunges. So we're gonna keep our feet wide. We're gonna lean into one, and then the other. Feeling a good stretch on your inner thigh, maybe your outer hip. Really sitting your hips back like you're gonna sit into a chair behind you. Maybe making them a little faster, getting a little more heat. And then we'll come to a forward fold, so we'll walk our feet back together. We're gonna fold forward. Take a couple breaths. And then we're gonna start to bend and straighten, bending the knees and straightening them, making sure that your chest doesn't start rounding. So I don't wanna be here. I want a nice flat back as I bend and straighten. We're gonna do one at a time, so bend one, and then the other. And we'll come back to standing. Let's do some hip rotations. So we're gonna take one hip out and around, out and around. Try to get that knee as high and try to keep it nice and high all the way around. Just gonna make the biggest circle with your knee that you can. And your other side. So we're gonna do leg lifts front and back. So let's see if I can turn this back just a little bit. Sure. Still headless. We're going to take our leg, try to keep our hips square as you lift the leg with control. Don't kick it yet. Make sure that this hip still comes forward and that as you lift, it doesn't open up. You want both hip bones facing forward. And let's do 20 on each side, forward and back. Make sure this leg is staying nice and straight too. Okay, if you've done the front and haven't done the back yet, we're going to do that now. So we're going to take the leg behind. Try to keep the hips up as you kick behind you. And don't let your body come forward as your leg comes up. You want your hips and your body to stay upright. So you do tiny little kicks behind you. 20 on each side. And your other side. Okay, awesome. So at this point, we should have done 20 front, 20 back, 20 front, and 20 back on each side. We're going to do another kind of leg lift. We're going to lift the knee first and then try to maintain height as we straighten and lower the leg. So I'm going to lift the knee first, and I'm going to try to straighten it and then lower. Lift the knee, straighten, and lower. Keeping the leg that you're standing on straight the whole time. So let's do 10 on each side. You can either switch. You go left, right, left, right, left, right, or I'll do them all on one side, do them all on the other side. So 10 on each. Awesome. Next one, we're going to do our hip thrust marches. I'm going to turn this down again. This way. And as your hips are lifted, you're going to pick up one leg and then the other. So my fingertips can just barely touch my heels. I'll lift my hips, try to keep as much height as I can. Lift one leg, lift the other. Lift, and the other. Let's do 20 sets and try to maintain that lift for a hold with each leg before you just come down so it's not super fast. Lift, hold for a second, down, lift, hold for a second. You can come down. Let's go into a downward dog and just pedal out our legs. Dropping one heel down and then the other. Sending the hips high, pushing through the shoulders. And then we're going to take one knee, and we're going to make circles with that knee. So I'm in my downward dog. I'm going to bring one knee forward, and open it out to the side. About bringing it up, around, and back down. We're going to do 3 in each direction on each side. So 3 forward, 3 back, 3 forward, 3 back. And when you're done with that, you can come down. Go ahead and find a child's pose. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tired already. So let's just take a couple seconds to breathe and relax. And let's come up to a tabletop position. So we're going to come to a tabletop position. We're going to just do, we're going to sit and do cat-cow from a seated position. Hands on your knees. As you arch forward, your chest is going to come forward. You're going to use your hands. Pull your chest forward, chin lifts up. And you'll reverse it, thinking there is a string coming out between your shoulder blades and it's pulling you back. Your hands are anchoring you down to your knees. Forward. And back. Take a couple more at your own pace. And let's now come to tabletop. We are going to draw some small circles with our hips. So our hips are going to go over to one side, come forward to the other side, and back around. They don't have to be too big. And then we're going to pick one side. I've got my right side, and I'm pushing my hips over to one side, and I'm just going to rock back and forth. And the other side, pushing into my left side, your whatever side you're on, and then rocking forward and back into that hip. And then we're going to make some bigger circles. So we're going to push our hips over to one side. We're going to walk our hands forward just a little bit Make room so our hips can come forward and back around. You don't have to go into a full cobra or back bend. If you're not feeling it, just drop the hips as far as is comfortable. Back around all the way through. So let's make some nice big circles, as slow as you would like. Now I'm going to switch directions. All right, let's go ahead and find a position where our shoulders are over our hands, hips over our knees. We're going to take one leg back behind us. One leg back behind us with your toes tucked under. Your other toes are going to tuck under as well, and you're going to think about pushing that heel back down towards the ground for a calf stretch. So I'm going to hold that for a few seconds. And then with your other toes tucked under, the leg that is knees still on the ground, we're going to lift up into kind of a half downward dog. Got one leg extended, one knee under. I'm going to lift up, pushing into my straight leg, feeling the stretch, my hamstring, maybe calf. We're going to rock through those a couple times. Thinking about pushing your belly towards your thighs. And then we're going to take that leg that is furthest behind us and bring it forward for our forward lunge stretch. We're going to just take some nice easy rocks forward and back. For all of the forward lunge stretches that we're doing today, make sure that your knee stays above or behind your ankle. So you want to be here or here, but you don't want to be here. Make sure that this stays in line or behind. And then we are going to stop in our hips back position, the forward pull over the front leg. You can wiggle your toes a little bit. You can point and flex, give yourself a little toe point massage. I personally feel the nerves in the top of my ankle, my feet. I kind of play with them and push them around. It kind of helps. And then we're going to wiggle that hip up and down. So this hip of the leg that is in front, I'm going to push it down, almost thinking about sinking into this opposite hip here, and then lifting it back up. So I'm going to do these hip wiggles as I'm leaning forward over my leg, making sure that my back is flat and not grounded. And then we're going to come forward and do a little bit bigger lunge rocks. So you can add a little bit of movement, bringing your hip further back, sitting your hips further back. And then stop over your front, your half splits once again. If you need to kind of bounce your knee a little bit gently, you can do that. Play with doing it with flex split versus pointed. We're gonna come forward. This time we're going to put our hands on our front knee. We're gonna push our chest up and away from that knee while still thinking about this hip coming down. Keep your hands on your front knee as you push back a little bit and then push forward. Keep that chest up and away from your knee. And then in our forward position here, we're going to tuck the back toes under. Tuck the back toes under, and you're going to straighten the knee, lift the hips. Then while keeping this knee nice and straight, you're going to think about lowering back down into your hips, pushing the knee away. We'll hold this for a few seconds. See if you can sink yourself deeper as you breathe. You can rock forward on your toes and push back a little bit. That helps hold this position a little longer. And then drop the knee back down. Let's go back to our lunge rocks a little bit here. Find a position where you can comfortably sit your hips forward with your hands. Don't need to be on the ground, on your leg. If that's here, that's great. That's way down here, awesome. We're gonna take our hands and they're gonna come up overhead. We're gonna think about arching back slightly. If that's a problem with your balance, you can have your hands low in case you need to put your fingers down on the ground. So first variation with arms overhead, other variation with fingers down in case you need to balance. And bring the hands back down forward. Push back over your front leg for a half split. Rock forward and back a little bit. And then we're going to bring both hands to the inside of the foot. Walk the foot outwards a little bit so that it's off to the side. Here. Still thinking about pushing these hips down towards the ground. Wiggle from side to side if it feels good. You can stay here, or if you'd like, you can come down to your forearms also. And then from here, we're going to do our back leg lifts and lowering. So I will turn it side once again for you guys. So I'm here, I'm going to tuck my back toes under, and I'm going to come up onto releve on my front foot also as I lift. And I'm trying to keep my hips low to the ground and lower back down. So lift and lower. You can do that from forearms or hands, wherever your level is at. So let's do 10 lifts and lowers, trying to hold at the top for 2 or 3 seconds each. come back down. If you're on your forearms, you can come back to your hands. We're gonna walk that foot forward, in between in the center of your body, and then push the hips back for a fold over the front leg once again. I'm gonna come forward, we're gonna tuck the back toes under, and we're gonna scoot our leg up a little bit so that our foot is closer to our body. We're gonna try straightening over this front leg. So if you really need to bring that foot in close, you can do that. Make sure that your back leg hip is pulling forward and not opening up to the side. If you need to take the hand of the same side leg that is in front and place it on your lower back and kind of wiggle around, you can kind of feel when your hips are going to be the most level and the most square. It's also probably going to be the most intense spot of your stretch. And then take your foot back behind you a little bit more. We're gonna find a comfortable lunge with the back knee up. We're gonna rotate between here and sending the hips forward. Making sure this hip doesn't open up to the side. You want it to stay forward. I'll do a couple of those. And then you can drop the knee back down. We're going to walk the foot over to our opposite side and then come into a pigeon position. Again, make sure this hip is rolling down towards the ground. If you need blocks here for some support or big textbooks, anything that you can kind of prop yourself up a little bit here to make this easier, you can do that. This foot can also, the more perpendicular it is to your body, the more intense it's going to be. You can pull this ankle in a little bit to make it a little more accessible to you if you like. So find whatever variation works best for you. We're going to tuck the back toes under and lift the knee up here. So my back toes tuck under. I'm going to try to keep my chest lifted. I can use my hands to push a little bit. I'm going to try to straighten and lower 10 times. And when you're done with those, we're going to take a twist. So my right leg is in front. My left hand, opposite hand, is going to come to that knee. My other hand is going to reach back for my leg if I can. If not, it's just going to be by my side. I'm going to take a twist. If you can reach back for that leg, you can use it to kind of pull into the twist a little bit more. And then we're going to come back to center. We're going to take our foot, pull it up. You can either keep it in your hand, if you can get it into your elbow pit. That's cool. I'm just going to pull it into the body, making sure again that this hip is rotating down towards the ground and the leg is behind you and not out to the side here. I can come all the way through here, but that's not stretching what I need it to. It needs to be directly behind me. That's much further distance. Release that. We're going to fold forward over our front leg. We're going to come back up into a lunge. Go ahead and take a couple rocks just to get some blood flowing back through that hip. As you're in your forward position, you're going to take the hand closest to your pinky toe, reach back for your foot. It should be the opposite hand and opposite foot that you're grabbing for. Think about pulling it in towards your body as you sink your hips down. I'd rather you not be able to grab when your hips forward, then your hips back, and you're grabbing your foot. Release that. Let's come to a forward fold. So step that back foot forward and fold over your legs. You should feel a significant difference between the two sides. You can kind of wiggle around, see how they feel. I'm going to bend and straighten a little bit here. Get the other one ready to do the same thing. Let's step our other leg back. So the leg that has been forward this whole time is now back behind us, and the other one is forward. We're going to take that front foot into a tabletop, and the other one is going to be back behind for the calf stretch. So we're starting here, this way. I'm sorry. So the leg that we will be doing our front split on is the one that is behind for the calf stretch. And now we're going to lift and lower into those half downward dogs. So tucking back both toes under, lifting, sending the hips back, coming back down, trying to get the heel to meet the ground. And then let's bring that foot forward. Starting with our half split, we're going to straighten over the front leg. Forward, give yourself a little toe massage, keep it on the other side. Wiggle around. Do whatever you need to do to get this side feeling better. I'm going to do those hip wiggles. So I'm going to lift this hip and I'm going to sit it back down, thinking about pushing through to this side, up and down, as I fold forward over my front leg. And then I'm going to come into some very easy, gentle Lunge rocks, bringing the hips forward, sending them back. Stop over our front leg once again. Taking whatever movement variations you need here. Flexing the foot and bending the leg a little bit, or pointing and straightening. Mix of the two. And then we'll come forward. Hands on the knee. Push the chest up and away. We're going to rock back and forth here. We're going to pick up the back knee, or pick up the back knee by tucking the back toes under, straightening the knee, and then lowering the hips back down. Keep the chest pushing away. See if you can use your breathing to sink deeper. And bring that back down. Let's rock forward over the front leg and forward with the hips. If you haven't started making them a little bigger, a little bit more intense, you can start doing that. And then you're going to find a comfortable position with your hips forward. That's here, cool. You can push further, cool. Your hands are not on the ground. I'm going to bring them up and over and find a slight back bend. Your other variation is hands down by your sides in case you need to catch yourself to balance. Thinking about pushing the hip further down as you reach the arms or your chest up and back. And bring the hands back down. Straighten over the front leg. We're going to come forward into our lizard again. So we're going to bring both hands to the inside of the foot. Walk the foot off to the side a little. Find whatever wiggles that you would like here, from side to side, forward, back. Whatever you're feeling right now. If you'd like to come down to your forearms, if you did it on the other side, you can do that now. Then we're going to lift and lower here as well, tucking the back toes under, coming onto releve on the front foot if that is accessible to you. Lift and lower 10 times. Making sure you're holding at the top for 2 or 3 seconds. And come back up. Just walk the foot back towards the center of the body and send the hips back, folding forward over the front leg. And then we're going to come into the triangle pose. So we're going to push your hips forward. We're going to tuck the back toes under and we're going to scoop them in a little bit more so that we can stand up, making sure that both hip bones are tracking forward and not letting them open up to the side. So let them forward. If you want to use your hands to feel your back, your lower back, again on this side, you can. Now we're going to lunge forward, step that foot back again, and we're going to rock in this position here, making sure that front and back hip still points forward. And then you can set that back knee down. We're going to walk our foot over to our opposite side. Come into pigeon once again. You can use blocks to support your hands if you need to. Just make sure that this hip rolls forward towards the ground. I'm going to tuck those back toes under again. Tuck the back toes, and you're going to lift, trying to keep this hip rolling forward and down towards the ground as you lift and straighten that knee behind you 10 times. And once you're done with those, you can release that foot. I'm going to take a twist. So my left knee is in front this time. My right hand is coming to that knee. My other hand is either out to the side. I'm going to start slowly walking back. If I can grab my back leg, I can use that to kind of pull me into the twist a little bit more. We're going to fold forward over the front leg. Oh, I changed my mind, I'm sorry. We're going to grab that back foot with the same said hand. Pull it in towards your body, making sure that that leg stays straight out behind you. As you can see, you can't see my leg from the front view. If my leg comes out to the side, you can start seeing it, and it makes it a lot easier to pull it in towards my body. We don't want to cheat the stretch. Make sure that leg is directly back behind you as you pull it in. Makes it much more intense. And then you can release that and fold forward. Let's come back out, do a couple rocks to get the blood flowing back in that front leg. Back. And then let's come back up to our forward fold, stepping that back leg up, going forward. Your leg should feel much more even now. One side may have tightened up a little bit. Go ahead and just bend your knees, wiggle it out. Okay, and then you can come back down to the ground. We're going to do some leg lifts lying on our back. So you're going to lay on your back. You can have one leg bent or straight down, whichever one you prefer. This other leg, whichever one you're going to work on first, is going to start down. You're going to bend it up towards your body, knee up towards your chest as far as you can. You're going to try to keep this knee as close to your body as you can as you straighten the leg, and then straight back down. So we're going to go knee in, straight, and down. We're going to do that 5 on each side, and then we're going to reverse it. So we're going to go straight up, bend the knee, try to keep it straight, sort of nice stretch through the hamstring as you bend the knee in and down. So at this point, I'm fighting the bend while also trying to bend, if that makes any sense. And straight. So we're going to do 5 in each direction on each side. I'm switching sides, you take your time. All right, once you're done with those, we're going to do no cheat hamstring stretch. So you can take a block or like rolled up sweatshirt, just something that you can put between your lower back and the ground so that you have a small arch in your lower back. Doesn't have to be a block, it can be anything, as long as you get a slight support here. You're going to take your prop, place it underneath your back. This is probably best. I want it so that my butt and my upper back can come comfortably down on the ground here. So I've got butt and shoulders making contact with the ground the whole time. So a block might be too high for you. If it is, go grab a pillow or sweatshirt. I'll give you like 30 seconds. Go grab that. You might also need a band or a belt or a scarf or a pair of pants, something that you can put around your foot and pull towards your head. While I give time to do that, does anyone have any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. So we're going to assume that everyone has their prop and band. We'll get started. So block again or prop underneath the low back, butt and shoulders, come down to the ground. Other leg again can be up or down, whatever feels more comfortable for you. You're gonna take your band around your foot. You're gonna find a place where you can keep it flexed and straight. And you're going to floss it up and down, keeping this knee nice and straight. Don't let it bend as you pull in. So you might feel like you don't have as much hamstring flexibility, but that's just because we've got the prop keeping your lower back from cheating for you. So now floss up and down for a few seconds. If you want to hold, you can hold. If you want to keep rocking, flossing, you can. Let's switch sides. And release that. Let's go back to the other side real quick. We're going to straighten and hold. You can also assist by placing your other hand underneath your hamstring if you would like. You're going to keep pulling your leg towards you as you bend and straighten here. And we'll switch sides. Grab your hamstring with your opposite leg. Grab the band, same side hand. Lift and hold. We're going to bend and straighten, keeping pressure towards our body with the hand on our hamstring. And release. Okay. Let's do our actual splits. If you have a bad side, you can do your bad side first. If you'd like to grab your blocks or props, whatever you need to lift yourself up for your splits, you can. We're going to start in a pretty generous lunge position, not too crazy. And we're just going to place our hands on our blocks or props by our hips. Generally, we don't want to be too far forward here. When we are doing the splits, you want the chest and torso to be upright. So having your hands by your hips keeps that happening for you. So we're going to do some rocks. And as we rock, we're going to slowly toe heel the front foot forward. Or if you prefer sliding the back foot back, you can do that too. I'm just going to inch forward and back a little bit as you start finding your edge. And once you find that spot where you can't rock forward or back anymore, we're going to hold. Again, making sure this hip is pulling forward. You don't want it opening it up to the side. A couple variations, if you have your flat splits, is to work on over splits, putting a block underneath your front or back leg. If you don't have a flat split yet, but you're about 2 or 3 inches away, you can start working on over splits, and that'll help you get your flat splits. If you are not ready to do either of those, or if you are doing your front or over splits and want to add this variation, you can. Slowly walking the hands back behind you for a small back bend. That's going to make it more intense in that hip flexor. We're here just for a few more seconds. And then we'll come out. We're going to do the other side, and we're going to do both sides one more time after that. So we're going to take our other leg forward. Nice, generous lunge, forward and back. Getting some movement back in there. Slowly starting to inch the toes forward or back, or both. Forward and back. So you can no longer rock forward or back. Making sure that that hip still pulls forward. You took a variation with your over splits or walking the hands back on your other side. Do it here too. We'll come out. Go back to that first side. Switch legs. This time, if you have an extra block, or if you want to use one of your blocks, you can, or some other prop. We're going to put it underneath the hamstring of the front leg. So I'm going to first sit my hips down on that. A foam roller will also work for this as well, so that I can keep rolling this hip forward and down. Once I've got this in whatever position I need, if you need it higher, you can stack blocks. If you don't need the block at all, you can go back into your flat split. We're going to start inching those toes forward again, keeping this hip rolling forward, really focusing on that back hip more than the front hamstring. And then you're going to either tuck your back toes or push into a back toe point. I'll turn, show you guys. So I'm going to push to straighten that back leg. Or if you want to tuck the back toes under, make it a little bit more intense. Or if it just feels better on your knee, you can do that. We're just going to do 10 on each side. So find whatever variation works for you. If you are in your flat split, you can still do it there. And then we'll come out and do the other side. So I'm going to place the block underneath the other front leg. Come to a position where I can rest my leg down on that block, pushing this hip forward and down towards the ground, and inching my front toes forward as far as I can. Focusing on that back hip flexor. We're going to lift and lower here as well. So you can either push into your pointed toes just into the back of your foot, or you can tuck the back toes under and straighten the knee through there. 10 times. And set it down. Let's go ahead and take the blocks out to the side. Let's find ourselves in another child's pose like we did near the beginning. Just to kind of take a breather, relax. You can take wide knees or closed knees, whatever feels better for you, and just breathe deeply. And let's come up and tuck the knees. If you have wide knees, you're going to make them narrow. Sit back into a child's pose. We're going to move our hands over to one side. I'm going to anchor this hand down, and I'm going to drop my hips so that I've got a nice stretch along my side and into my hip. And switch sides. Come back up to tabletop. I'm going to take one arm under. I'm going to lay down on that shoulder. This hand is going to walk up overhead. I'm going to start inching my fingers up overhead for a small twist. Do the other side, thread the other arm under, lay on that shoulder, hand goes straight up, and then walk the fingers up overhead. Here I come up. Let's find a comfortable seat position, whether that's on your heels or crisscross, whatever you'd like. I'm going to do it this way for room's sake. We are going to come side to side for a side stretch. So I'm going to place one hand down, and I'm going to sweep this arm up and over, and do the other side. I don't have that much space here, so I'm going to do it sideways. You can also do this from your forearm. So if you're lower down, you can bring your forearm down as you come up and over, up and over. I'm going to do it sideways. We're just going to spend a few seconds doing this. And then we'll come back to a neutral position. Let's take one arm across our body, keeping that shoulder down away from the ear. Don't let it hike up. Push it down. Pull the arm in. Keep the shoulder down as you move the hand up. Gonna bend that arm. Hand goes back behind you. You're gonna take this other arm and you're gonna push it back. Keep the chin lifted. And switch sides. Other arm comes across, shoulder stays down away from the ear. Shoulder stays down, arms goes higher, and hand goes higher. That hand is going to bend with elbow bends. The hand goes back behind you, other hand grabs your elbow, and you're gonna pull back. Release that. Let's come, last thing we're gonna do is figure four stretch on our back. So we're gonna come down to our back. I'm gonna bring one ankle over the knee, keep the foot flexed, and you're going to grab this either underneath the hamstring or over the shin, not on the knee. And you're gonna pull this in. If you want more, you can push this knee open as you're pulling this in. If this is good, then you can stay here. And release, switch sides. And you can release that. And we're done. I'll leave these stream open for a few seconds if anyone has any questions or comments or anything like that. So you can stare at my lovely empty room. Yay, thanks. You're welcome. Thanks for joining in. If you're ever in Indianapolis, once people can travel again, come take a class with us. I am doing a class on Wednesday. I don't think it is flexibility though. I'm still waiting for specific details, but as soon as those details are nailed down, I'm sure they'll be passed on to students. I think we're going to be having some sort of movement-based class every morning, Monday through Saturday, and then Sundays we have this flexibility. So. I think Mary has a flexibility class on Wednesday though, at 5 p.m. I believe. So there's that. Okay, I'm gonna close the stream, guys. I'll see you next week or whenever I do another movement-y thing if you join for that. Bye. You too.